Good afternoon. This we are about to start the session. Can you please? Yes. This session is for postgraduate presentations. We have presentations by 4 postgraduate students of the Department of Sociology in collaboration with their supervisors, but the students are making their presentations. Let me briefly introduce the 4. Actually, there are only 3 here. The 4th one will be coming very soon. One who is seated next to me on the right is Sivakanthan, one of our former graduates and presently doing his master's in the Department of Sociology. Presently he's a lecturer in the Department of, what's the department? Sorry? He's a lecturer in the Faculty of Arts, and also he lectures in the Faculty of Medicine as well. So it's a joint appointment. And next to Siva is Darshini Chandrasekhara. She's also a student of this department, presently doing her master's, and she's attached to the International Research Center rather, of the University of Peradeniya. Let me very briefly mention some ground rules to the presenters. Each will have 15 minutes. Sorry, each presentation has 15 minutes, and the presenters have 10 minutes to make their presentation. We will give them a warning when they reach 8 minutes so that they will know that they have to wind up their presentation within 2 minutes after the warning. The first presenter is Mr. Sivakanthan. He will be making his presentation on post-war disabilities. May I invite Mr. Sivakanthan? He is already there.
Shall I start? Good afternoon, everybody. The title is Medical Sociological Study of Social and Healthcare for the Disabled in the Community District. Actually, this study only dealing with people who made with disabilities due to work. So this study is not focusing on people who made disabilities other than work. The general objective of the study is to identify social and healthcare related problems or issues of people with war-related disabilities in the Kalonji district. First of all, I want to a kind of a conceptual framework between social and healthcare, armed conflict and disability. First of all, we should understand what is disability. What disability is kind of a loaded terminology. As far as the WHO is concerned, disability is more focusing on kind of a ability related aspects, but in fact disability is more than functional aspect. So disability should be understood in a broader context. Disability should be understood in a way limitation in activities, functions as well as participations. As far as Sri Lanka is concerned, war is one of the major factors which contribute to disabilities. So during the period, whenever the armed conflict intensified, the morbidity for disabilities has also increased. And during the war period, the healthcare systems is totally collapsed. This was most crucial during the last phase of war. This research methodology, this study has utilized a combination of both qualitative and quantitative data. Quantitative data is majorly focusing on questionnaire survey. 316 people were utilized for questionnaire survey. And the qualitative data was collected through focus group discussions and 28 case study methods participatory research methods, and visual data. First of all, you can look at the distributions of sample size. As far as Kulnaji district concerned, 1,395 were disabled people there. Among them, 316 people were selected on the basis of systematic random samplings. So priority was given to the people with severe disabilities, especially three categories. It was given priority. One is people with spinal cord injuries, and people with amputations, and people with multiple disabilities. First of all, we want to know the disability profile of Sri Lanka. So according to the last and recent census data that was done in 2012, 1.62 million of the people are disabled, and they have one forms of at least disabilities. So if you look at the gender distribution of disabilities, men are the most victims of disability, 57%, and female compromising 43%. If you go for other countries, developed countries are concerned, where females are the most victims of disabilities, but Sri Lanka is concerned. Still, men are the most victims of armed conflict or blast injury, and men are the most victims of road traffic accidents, which led to men become the more victims of disability. So if you look at the provincial-wise, 5 provinces which have more than 9%, Central Province, Northwestern, Nuwa, and Sabaragama provinces, which have most number of disabled people within the country. So now I want to highlight war-related disability is a crucial problem in the Vanni mainland. So Vanni mainland, which include 4 districts, Klinochi, Mullaitivu, Mannar, and Vavuniya district. You can, if you look at the statistics table, as far as Klinochi and Mullaitivu districts are concerned, nearly 60%, and Mullaitivu 65% of the peoples are war disabled. So in all these areas, war was the major contributor to the disability, rather non-war related factors. Yeah, so now I want to highlight the causes of disability within the Kulnachi district. So you can easily understand, out of 2,330 disabled people, 1,395 people are disabled. It's close to 60%. Now I am going to explain the survey results. There are 316 people who were employed for the questionnaire survey. Among them, 205 are males and 111 are females. So as I said earlier, men are the most victims of armed conflicts because men were given priority in recruiting soldiers, and men were employed a kind of a mines demining unit and etc. So men are the most victims of armed conflict in terms of disability. So this talks about whether people who were in the Vanni, whether they were able to receive adequate healthcare facilities during the last phase of war. So during the period of 2007 to 2009 May, the healthcare facilities in the Vanni very worst situations. People were unable to access essential healthcare services. So the people, more than 93.4% of the people said that they were unable to receive adequate healthcare services during the last phase of war. So these are the identified healthcare challenges during the last phase of war. Sometimes there was no health specialists, particularly orthopedic surgeons, neurosurgeons, and surgeons. Sometimes there is no medicines, anesthesiologists, and other than that one, so people have to often frequently change the hospitals. Sometimes people are unable to go to hospitals, so due to severe shelling attacks, and people are unable to use nutritional food and other personal hygiene. People were suffering due to excess of safe drinking water and transportations and assistive devices for disabled people. If you look at among the war disability, during the last phase of war, I mean starting from 2007 to 2009 May, majority of the people become disabled. Close to more than 70% of the people become war disabled during the last phase of war between the LTT and the government forces of Sri Lanka. And the weapon causing disabilities. Basically, blast injury is a major cause for war-related disability. Among the blast injury, shelling is the major factor which causing for highest number of people with disabilities. Second one is aerial bombing. Third one is landmines. And if you look at these ones, still landmines is a crucial problem in the Kilnagi district. Even soon after the war, after 2009, more than 20 people, they were the victims of landmines. The survey results shows that among the war disability, amputations is the major form of disability. So basically amputations means removal of limbs by blast injury or surgery in legs or both arms. So if you look at this statistic table, it clearly shows that more than 75% of the peoples, they are amputees. The second one, spinal cord injury is the second major form of war-related disability, and third one, visual impairment. And multiple disabilities. So multiple disabilities means people have more than one disability. So it's particularly people with spinal cord injury, or people who are suffering from paraplegia, or people who are suffering from quadriplegia. So they are multiple disabilities. The health problems of people with disabilities, one is the lack of medical professionals. Even percentage, more than 145,000 people are living in Kilnagi district, but there is no any orthopedic surgeon and orthopedic consultant, neurosurgeon not available in the Kilnagi district. And although more than 2,300 people with war-related disabilities, there was no any specific mobile healthcare services available in the district. And other than that one, still Kilnagi district has problems to access physiotherapist, radiologist, and particularly mental health professional, psychiatric. So there is no any consultant psychiatric available in the Kilnagi district general hospitals. Still, like Western province, most of the people seeking medical support from Western allopathic medicines. So this is unfair treatments within the hospital, health institutions. Doctors are treated patients very well, but most of the respondents, they said that they are not given proper treatment from nurses or other paramedical staff. You can understand, nearly 13% of the people said that they were largely exploited, but they are not treated well by the nurses and other paramedical staffs in the hospital. So you can easily understand that there are some qualitative narratives that war-related vulnerabilities are more prominent even in the most of the families in Vani. Disability of burdens. You can easily understand, 14.3% of the people consider disability as a burden. Okay. So that's very clear. People with war-related disabilities have mental problems. Inclusive memories. Although war was ended in 2009, still people have memories, post-traumatic stress disorder related with the incidents related to disability. I want to highlight, although people who are suffering with war-related disabilities, people have their own mechanism to overcome their problems. One is self-help groups. Disabled people formed their own organizations. One is Suryodayam. So that's an organization running for people with spinal cord injuries. They are providing a lot of support to the people with spinal cord injuries. And other than that, one's district federations of disability forums, VAROT, and these kind of self-help organizations, kind of a hopic mechanisms expressed by the disabled people, and institutional rehabilitations. When MSF, Medicine Sans Frontiers, were there, they provided maximum medical, social, and community rehabilitation program, but they left after the 1 year of the resettlement. Now people are in struggling. And education, peer counseling, because in Tamil community, getting counseling does not matter whether they are war disabled or not, still is a stigma. So that disabled people are more comfortable to seeking kind of a counseling support from their own peer groups. And involvement in religious practice also is a important coping strategies identified among the war relationship. And people have well-established family bond and social relationship, and this can be utilized as a social supports to overcome war-related vulnerabilities. So employability, as I said earlier, unemployment is more common among the war disabled. Nearly 50% of the people who are unemployed. So if you look at these narratives, you can easily understand. Older people complete their advanced levels, but they are unable to find an employment, so they are excluded from by the employers. Sometimes people are waiting more than 5 years to find an employment. So because there are some reasons, even the job employment opportunities or vocational trainings are not adequately available in the war affected areas. But this person is a kind of very confident person, although he has amputation in 2 legs. Every day he is traveling more than 20 kilometers in Kulnaji district and in selling these eatable items. He's a role model to other disabled peoples. Rather, depending on NGOs or government institutions, they want to start kind of self-employment opportunities to overcome economic vulnerabilities. So thank you very much.
Can you please wind up your discussion?
Yes. My conclusion part, war is a major contributor for the disability in the Kulnaji district. And war disabled people encounter severe medical issues. Access of healthcare services from medical professionals still crucial in Kulnaji district. Although government say they will provide 2,000 rupees, 3,000 rupees for the disabled, but out of 2,300 people, only 200 people in the Kulnaji districts are able to get that financial assistance. And moreover, the rights of disabled people is still on paper, but not in practice. The High Court has an order before 17 October 2014, all service providing institutions, including hospitals, should have accessible facilities. But what has happened?
Thank you, Shiva. Now the discussion is open.
I have 2
Question.
separate questions.
Yeah.
The first one is, about more than 10 years ago, Indian government offered prostheses to 1,000 victims of the conflict. Are you aware of that?
So before the war?
Before the end of the war, during the conflict, Indian government.
Yeah. That is orthopedic, that artificial limbs production, that is functioning in Jaffna, not in Kulnaji.
Yes, you are familiar with that.
Yeah.
Is there? My question is there any follow-up after they were given the prosthesis of their lives and livelihood? Do you know?
Yeah. So that currently, as far as Kulnaji is concerned, Handicap Internationals, they are providing prosthetics and Vanpura, that is in Jaffna. So there is no any kind of a permanent prosthetic organization that is functioning in Kulnaji district.
No follow-up.
Yeah.
The second question is, have you heard of pranic healing?
Yeah.
That has a very prominent center in Vellavatta.
Yeah.
Is it functioning in any part of Jaffna or Vanni? Pranic healing.
So, no.
Are you familiar with the Vellavatta Center?
Yeah, I know it because one was functioning, healing the wounds, psychiatric organizations, but it was banned by the government 2 years ago in Vanni.
No. This is called pranic healing. The address is number 20, Moores Road, Vellavatta.
Vellavatta, Colombo.
Vellavatta, Colombo 5, no? Colombo 6, I think. Colombo 6. The man is an engineer. His name is D.E. Somasundaram. He was in the irrigation department many years ago. He has been doing pranic healing for the last 17 or 18 years. Don't know? You don't know?
I think you are referring psychiatric Daya Somasundaram, so that's what I am confused.
Yeah, D.E. Somasundaram.
He's in psychiatric.
No. This gentleman, D.E. Hello.
Different person, maybe.
Hello. D.E. Somasundaram is Deva Somasundaram. His address is number 20, Moores Road. He's an irrigation engineer. I'm also an irrigation engineer, slightly senior to me, but he has been practicing pranic healing from that address, number 18, Moores Road, Colombo 6, for the last nearly 18 years. Now the reason for this is that a connection has been established with the Jaffna Home Garden. Jaffna Home Garden, right? You're from Jaffna or
Yeah, from
mainland? Okay. The Jaffna Home Garden was described by the colonial secretary Sir James Emerson Tennant in his famous book on Ceylon in 1857. These home gardens were described as market gardens. As market gardens. I have the reference here in my bag. I can show it to you, right? Now, today, Somasundaram and few of us have recognized the possibility that these are home gardens. And remember, in 1857,
Can I, from the chair, please? Can I intervene, please?
Yeah.
Now, some of these issues can be discussed after the presentation,
Yeah.
maybe privately with the presenter. There are other participants who are waiting for clarifications and
okay,
questions.
I will yield. You can have it.
Can
you
you,
can have
can,
it.
you, can you be very brief, or can we
I've done.
ask this question later? President Silva.
About the prevalence. Provincial level, huh? Provincial level. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, here now we find that even central province has a higher prevalence compared to north and east. One would expect because of the war that the prevalence in north would be much higher. But it doesn't show, I mean, these figures don't show it. Is it, I mean, how do you explain it? Is it because there's underreporting of?
This obviously is underreported because the study was done in 2012. Even if you look at the 2015 January report, says there's a 350 increase in the war disabled. So now it's almost 1,656 or something in January 2015 war disabled.
So you feel this is underreported?
Right. This is the census data. This is 2012 report.
But still, war affect. I mean, the population was affected by the war.
And substantial numbers of people still in interior welfare centers in Tamil Nadu and India. It's more than 76,000 people.
Are there any others? Yes, Dr. Dhammika.
Shiva, thanks for the interesting facts you presented. One of the questions that I have is on reconciliation. I think given that you are a Tamil speaker, you have a natural advantage to research on this question. There has not been sufficient research in Sri Lanka on post-war reconciliation. According to your feeling from the field, where do you think reconciliation is going? Do you think that people feel that there is a process of healing? So is the process of reconciliation unfolding in your research area in some micro ways?
Yeah. I mean, reconciliation is must. People expecting, I mean, even under the reconciliation process, even government or other organizations, they have been talking about options, but people want actions. So that's the most crucial situation. So, I mean, compensation, for an example, disability. So just forget about the ex-combatants of the LTT. Think about civilians. Some families, two persons, both limbs are amputated, but they are unable to get 3,000 financial assistance. And psychiatric kind of a counseling programs is not adequately available in the Karachi district. So my suggestion is also there. So reconciliation programs should be accelerated and should be started in kind of a new programs in the war affected villages.
Thank you, Siva. It appears there are no questions. Salat, yes. One last question.
Yeah.
Briefly,
Yeah.
have you thought about some sort of substantial policy analysis in your study? Because why I'm saying this is one of the areas in our country which is where policy in terms of social policy is very, very weak. So therefore, I think
even the part of my thesis which covered even disabled peoples are excluded getting welfare assistance. There's no clear policy. In some DS divisions, people getting the financial assistance and public assistance monthly allowance on PMA. But some DS divisions, if somebody get PMA and the person is excluded from getting 3,000 financial assistance.
And especially from the perspective of social exclusion and inclusion.
Yeah.
Right? In that perspective, that's social policy. Secondly, briefly, if you can use the word PWDs instead of disabled people everywhere,
Yeah.
I think.
Sure. As a sociologist, I would like to use people with disabilities, but as a medical sociologist, I would prefer disability because people with disabilities also, understood in different way. But it's a standard word anyway. So people with disabilities is the appropriate word. So
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This certainly is an issue that has not received the due attention, that the attention it deserves. I hope the research like this will help to generate interest in the community of the problems that disabled people are facing, especially in the northern and eastern region due to the war. The next presentation, we are moving from physical disabilities to intellectual disabilities. Darshani is presenting her research on intellectual disabilities among children.
A very good afternoon to all of you. I'm going to present my research findings on the topic sociological study of the factors affecting the social well-being of children with intellectual disability, with special reference to the community-based rehabilitation center of the Women's Development Center. This is the lineup of my presentation, and now I'm going to move into the introduction. First of all, I would like to define what is intellectual disability. It is a relatively new term used to identify a variety of disabilities related to impaired intelligence. According to the World Health Organization, the definition of World Health Organization is of the intellectual disability is the reduced ability of a person to understand complex information and the inability to apply new skills, which leads to the difficulty of coping independently. And usually, children with intellectual disability are considered as marginalized even among the persons with disabilities, other types of disabilities. We'll move into as to why they are marginalized in that way. This is a multinational study done about the percentage of systems that monitor disabilities in national data systems. So according to this study, systems that monitor general disabilities is 71%, whereas there is only 29% of systems that monitor intellectual disabilities under the national data systems. And since I'm going to measure the social well-being of children with intellectual disability, I brought down some accepted definitions of the social well-being and found out some common characteristics related to the social well-being, such as the access to resources and the quality of life, being a part of the society, being accepted by the society, and so on. And I'm going to study the social well-being of children with intellectual disability under three main social institutions, namely the education, economy, and family. Since these three social institutions carry a very broad perspective, under education, I'm going to pay attention to the role of school on the social well-being and the type of education and how it impacts the social well-being of children with ID. And under economy, I'm paying attention to the vocational training and access to employments and how they help to the social well-being of children with intellectual disability. And under family, I'm going to concentrate on the support given by the family members for these children and what are the other related issues confronted by family when finding or attaining social well-being of children with ID. And the objectives of my study are to explore how these social institutions contribute to the overall social well-being of children with intellectual disability, and to identify the problems confronted by children with the intellectual disability in the absence of the support of these three social institutions, and to come up with suitable recommendations to improve the social well-being of children with intellectual disability. And now I'm going to move into the methodology. The study area is this Community-Based Rehabilitation Center of the WTC, and the total population of children with disabilities in the CBR center is 235. Out of that, I selected a purposive sample of 50 children with intellectual disability, and the parents or the caregivers of those 50 children were given questionnaires, and another 20 teachers of the CBR center were also interviewed. The data collection was done under two aspects. The primary data collection was based on questionnaires and semi-structured interviews. For the secondary data collection, I used various statistical reports, books, websites, and so on, which are related to intellectual disability and social well-being. The data analysis was done under SPSS, and the qualitative data was analyzed under thematic analysis. Now I'm going to move into my findings. The findings will be presented under three social institutions. First, I'm going to move into the findings related to the social institutions of family. According to my findings, the progress of the children increase when parents follow the instructions provided by teachers at schools or other centers properly at home. So most of the children who showed very good progress were received a very good support by their family members. And then I found out that when it comes to the support provided by family members, around 52% of the children receive the support only of the parents. Whereas the shocking factor was only as little as 14% of children receive the support of all the family members. That means including the support of the parents and the support of the siblings. And then the reluctance to attend to social gatherings with children with intellectual disability was another negative factor that affected the social well-being of children with intellectual disability. For example, most of the family members felt uncomfortable when taking these children to social gatherings, and there was also a very high level of ignorance about the services and the facilities available for these children at the grassroots level. And under family, institution of family, the major drawbacks I found out were the negative attitudes, the notion of shame, where the parents or the siblings or any other family member felt when taking these children to outside or when they are socially integrated, and the lack of awareness of these family members towards the facilities available for these children, and increased poverty levels in these families. And under education, according to the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Persons with Disabilities, there is a necessity of providing inclusive education for children with intellectual disability. Even though Sri Lanka is a signatory to the UNCRPD, we can find out at the grassroots level, this inclusive education is not properly practiced. And the study findings also show that there are many incidents where negative attitudes of the teachers have affected the social well-being of children with intellectual disability. And there was also a possibility of these children in getting rejected when they are getting enrolled for schools, the normal schools where they not provide special education. And the Ministry of Education Sri Lanka itself highlights that children with disabilities in general do not enjoy equal rights in Sri Lanka. And The majority of the interviewees accepted that lack of awareness among the school teachers in developing proper interactions with children with intellectual disability has negatively affected them. And when the type of education is considered, it was evident that 80% of the children received only special education, whereas only 16% of the children received combined education. However, for the well-being, social well-being of children with intellectual disability, combined education is accepted to be very important. And another finding of the study was that children with ID mainly learn through observation. Therefore, when it comes to implementing different learning modules for them, this aspect should also be considered. And there was another difficulty in providing sexual education for these children. And as a result, there was a risk of these children getting abused. And now I'm going to the findings under the economy. And children, according to this, children with intellectual disability do have the capacity to engage in employments if they are properly trained. And 86% of the sample did not receive any pre-vocational training due to the failures in the education systems. And 68% of the parents were not aware of the pre-vocational training programs or vocational training programs offered by the government. And labor exploitation was also present among the, once these children, when they turn into adults, when they engage in employments, labor exploitation was also present. And when I searched about the most suitable occupations, the suggestions of the teachers were mechanical work, technical work, tailoring, carpentry, and creative livelihoods. And the teachers also mentioned that there are a lot of psychological benefits of engaging in such employment, such as the reduction of aggression levels and the improvement of tolerance and patience. And another factor related to economy is that there was very strict conditions applied when receiving financial assistance from the government. For example, 3,000 rupees was given only if the head of the household was disabled or there were more than one child or person with disability was there in the household. And my conclusion is that barriers in education, family, and economy are promoted mostly by the negative attitudes and the stereotypes of the society. And the knowledge of the communities regarding the facilities and services available for these children was very low. And especially after the death of the parents, these children have a very high possibility of facing vulnerable conditions. And anyhow, with proper support of family and schools, these children can be made independent. And these are my recommendations. Among them are family counseling, raising awareness, and strengthening the legal framework, and establishing self-help groups to support these children. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Darshini. Thank you very much. Now the presentation is open to the audience. May I please remind you, please keep your questions and comments short because we are very tight on our time schedule.
Yeah, I have a very simple question. Is this ID is social or biological? Because I'm asking this question, inclusive education addresses both. So now what is our role if it is social?
If it's social, when it comes to inclusive education, the aim is to provide equal opportunities and inclusion for the child. However, in Sri Lanka, we don't have that situation in most of the schools. So our role is to promote inclusive education by especially providing awareness programs. Even the parents of these children, unfortunately, did not know that these children can be put into normal schools. They were also thinking that these children need special education. So there are a lot of negative attitudes developed regarding these children. So if parents and if we start from the basic unit of the society, family, and develop attitudes towards positivity in the society, we can eliminate the risks of these children being abused or facing difficulties in terms of social well-being in the society.
Professor Silva.
My question is whether there is a difference in the social response to disability between children with physical disabilities and children with intellectual disabilities. The reason I'm asking this is because physical disabilities are seen, so people can't actually hide their children with physical disabilities, but you did mention that children with ID, they try to hide. And the other thing is whether stigma is greater in the case of intellectual disability because you are seen as some mentally dysfunctional person.
Yes, sir. According to my study findings, there is a difference in the ways of treating for children with intellectual disabilities and the children with normal, so-called general disabilities. When it comes to these differences, children with intellectual disabilities are feared by most of the people. Now, when it comes to the other types of disabilities which are visible to the people, most of the people tend to sympathize them. But when it comes to the children with intellectual disability, it is not the case. The people fear these children and they are always marginalized due to that. They always think that, okay, we might get attacked from these children, or we might not get good results if this child studies with my children. So there are things like that. Because of that, children with intellectual disability are marginalized in the society than the other children with disabilities.
Any more? Yes.
Hello. May I ask you whether you are familiar with the work done by the Colombo Friend in Need Society, covering both your...
I'm sorry, sir, I'm not familiar with that. My findings were majorly focused on the findings of the Women's Development Center.
I would strongly recommend that you get in touch with them.
Thank you very much for your suggestions, sir.
Any more questions, clarifications, comments? It appears there are no questions. Therefore, shall we move on to the third presenter? Third presenter is Mr. Jagat Kumar. He is a graduate of the Department of Sociology. Presently, he is reading for his master's degree, and he is attached to Sabaragama Provincial Council as a probation officer.
සංධ්‍යාවක් වේවා කියලා ප්‍රාර්ථනා කරනවා සියලු දෙනාටම. මේ අවස්ථාවේදී මා ඉදිරිපත් වීමට අපේක්ෂා කරන්නේ සමාජ විද්‍යාව ශාස්ත්‍රපති උපාධිය සඳහා මා පෙරළි විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයට ඉදිරිපත් කරපු නිබන්ධනය සම්බන්ධයෙන් මේදී මට උපදේශකත් කාලිංග සහය වගේම පොලිස් සභාදීමේ අපේ රත්නායක ප්‍රතිලා තමයි මේ අධ්‍යයනය සිද්ධ කළේ. මෙම අධ්‍යයනය මගින් අපේක්ෂා කළේ මේ වෛද්‍ය මානව විද්‍යාව විෂයට අදාළව තමයි අධ්‍යයනය සිදු කරලා තිබෙන්නේ. මේ මගින් උත්සාහ කරන්නේ දියවැඩියාව රෝගය සම්බන්ධයෙන් පවත්නා පුද්ගල චර්යාව තේරුම් ගැනීම සහ ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් සොයා බැලීමේ සඳහා තමයි මේ අධ්‍යයනය සිදු කරනු ලැබුවේ. එහිදී රෝගී දියවැඩියාව රෝගෙහි අංශ දෙකක් සම්බන්ධයෙන් මූලික අවධානය යොමු කරලා තිබෙනවා. පළවෙනි කාරණය තමයි රෝගය වැළඳීමට බලපාන හේතු සාධක. මෙම හේතු ජීව විද්‍යාත්මක හේතු අපි මෙහිදී උත්සාහ කරන්නේ එම ජීව විද්‍යාත්මක හේතුන් සඳහා බලපාන පුද්ගල චර්යාත්මක ලක්ෂණ මොනවාද කියන එක අධ්‍යයනය කිරීමට. ඉන් අනතුරුව රෝගය වැළඳුණු පසුව පුද්ගලයා සමාජ පවුල තුළ ප්‍රජාව තුළ සමාජය තුළ ක්‍රියා කිරීමේදී උද්ගත වන තත්ත්වයන් සහ රෝගයක් වැළඳුණු පුද්ගලයෙකු ප්‍රතිකාර කෙරෙහි යොමු වීමේදී බලපාන මානව විද්‍යාත්මක කරුණු සම්බන්ධයෙන් තමයි මේ අධ්‍යයනයේදී අවධානය යොමු කරලා තිබෙන්නේ. රෝගයක් කියලා කිව්වහම අපි දන්නවා රෝගයක් කියලා කියන්නේ ඍණාත්මක දෙයක් සෑම වෙලාවෙම. අපි මුහුණ පාන ගැටලුවක්. එහෙම නැත්නම් පුද්ගලයෙක් වශයෙන් තමනුත් සමාජයක් අපි සියලු දෙනා හැටියට සමාජයක් හැටියටත් මෙය අප මුහුණ පාන ගැටලුකාරී තත්ත්වයක් සහ අභියෝගයක්. ඒ නිසාම සෞඛ්‍ය කියලා කියන්නේ අපේ සමාජයේ විවිධ ශාස්ත්‍රයන් තියෙනවා. සෞඛ්‍ය කියලා කියන්නේ සුවිශේෂී සමාජ ශාස්ත්‍රයක්. ඒ තාමත්ම සංවේදී සමාජ ශාස්ත්‍රයක්. අපි මෙහිදී අධ්‍යයනය කරන දියවැඩියාව රෝගය සම්බන්ධයෙන් සාකච්ඡා කළොත් ජාතික වශයෙන් වගේම ජාත්‍යන්තර වශයෙන් ඉතාමත්ම ශීඝ්‍රයෙන් ව්‍යාප්ත වීම පවතින රෝගයක් තමයි දියවැඩියාව රෝගය කියලා අපි හඳුන්වන්නේ. ඒ වගේම අපි සමාජයේ සාමාන්‍යයෙන් රෝගාබාධ ගැන සාකච්ඡා කරනකොට අපේ ඔළුවට වැඩිපුරම එන්නේ බරපතල රෝගාබාධ හැටියට පිළිකාව, ඊට පස්සේ අධිරුධිර පීඩනය, ඒල්ස් වගේ ඒව මාතෘකා ගැන තමයි අපි සාකච්ඡා කරන්නේ. හැබැයි දැන්ට වර්තමාන ලෝකෙ පිළිගන්නවා ඒ පිළිකාව, ඒල්ස් වැනි රෝග හා සමානවම බරපතල සමාජ ගැටලු ඇති කරලා පුද්ගල ගැටලු ඇති කරලා තියෙන රෝගී තත්ත්වයක් තමයි දියවැඩියාව රෝගය කියලා කියන්නේ. මොකද මෙය වැළඳුනොත් ජීවිත කාලය තුලම ඒ රෝගය සමග ජීවත් වෙන්න සිදුවීම තමයි මේ තියෙන ගැටලුකාරී තත්ත්වය. ඒ වගේම දැන් අපේ සමාජ විද්‍යා දිනේ තේමාව වන්නේ Sociology for Development කියලා. දැන් අපිට එකපාරට බැලු බැලමට හිතෙනවා සෞඛ්‍ය දැන් දියවැඩියා රෝගය ගැන අපි අධ්‍යයනය කළා කොහොමද මේක සංවර්ධනයට සම්බන්ධ කරගන්නේ කියලා. ඇත්තටම ලෝකයේ සංවර්ධන දර්ශක වලින් සෞඛ්‍ය ශාස්ත්‍රයට හිමිවන්නේ විශේෂ ස්ථානයක්. සෞඛ්‍ය ශාස්ත්‍රය සම්බන්ධයෙන් සාකච්ඡා නොකර අපිට සංවර්ධනය ගැන සාකච්ඡා කරන්න බෑ. ඒ වගේම අද සංවර්ධන දර්ශකයේදී පුද්ගලයාගේ සතුරුදායක බව නැත්නම් හැපිනස් කියන කාරණය ප්‍රධාන දර්ශකයක් බවට පත් වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඇත්තටම සෞඛ්‍ය තත්ත්වකින් තොරව අපිට ඒ බඳු සෞඛ්‍ය දර්ශකයකට සංවර්ධන දර්ශකයට යන්න බෑ. අනිත් පැත්තෙන් ගත්තාම අද ලෝක සංවර්ධන මිනුම් කරනකොට ආධ්‍යාත්මික සංවර්ධනය කියන්නේ හේ විශේෂ සංගයක්. ඒ සඳහා සෞඛ්‍ය ක්ෂේත්‍ර සම්බන්ධයෙන් ලොකු සම්බන්ධතාවයක් තිබෙන නිසා අත්‍තරම දියවැඩියාව සම්බන්ධයෙන් මේ කරන අධ්‍යයනය සංවර්ධනය සමග අත්‍යන්තයෙන්ම බැඳී පවතින මාතෘකාවක්. අපි මෙහිදී අරමුණු කරලා තියෙනවා ඉස්සෙල්ලා සඳහන් කළා වගේම දියවැඩියාව රෝගය හැදෙන්න බලපාන සමාජ හේතු සහ එය වළක්වා ගැනීමේදී පුද්ගලයා පුද්ගලික වශයෙන් සහ සමාජමය වශයෙන් මුහුණ පාන ගැටලු සහ ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන ආකාරය කෙබඳුද කියන කාරණය පිළිබඳව. මෙහිදී අපි අධ්‍යයන ශාස්ත්‍රීය වශයෙන් තෝරාගෙන තිබෙන්නේ මහනුවර දියවැඩියා මධ්‍යස්ථානය සහ පල්ලකැලේ ආයුර්වේද මහරෝහල. මෙම ශාස්ත්‍ර මධ්‍යස්ථාන දෙකම ඉතා විශේෂිත මධ්‍යස්ථාන දෙකක් මේ රෝගය සම්බන්ධයෙන්. මහනුවර දියවැඩියා මධ්‍යස්ථානය ක්‍රියාත්මක වන්නේ අත්තර මේ ප්‍රතිකාරයට අමතරව අධ්‍යයන ආයතනයක් හැටියට ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙනවා. මහාචාර්ය ඊළඟ විසින් තමයි පවත්වගෙන යන්නේ. එම ආයතනය මගින් දියවැඩියා රෝගය පැමිණියට පස්සේ එම ආයතනයට ඔවුන්ට රෝගය වැළඳීමට හේතු වන්ට ඇතැයි යන හේතුකාරකයන් පිළිබඳවත් අධ්‍යයනයක් කරලා තිබේ. ඒතකොට අපිට පහසු වුණා මේ රෝගීන්ට මේ රෝගය වැළඳෙන මේ කාරණා හේතු වුණා කියන එක ආයතන මගින්ම සොයාගෙන තිබේ. අපි ද්විතීයික දත්ත ලෙස භාවිත කරලා තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේම පල්ලකැලේ ආයුර්වේද මහරෝහල අධ්‍යාපනික පසුබිමකින් ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙන්නේ මෙතන සමාජ මානව විද්‍යාත්මක අධ්‍යයන බොහෝ තරණක් කරලා තිබෙනවා. මේ සේනාධීර පළාත් ආයුර්වේද කොමසාරිස්තුමාගේ බොහෝ උපදෙස් අනුග්‍රහය මත තමයි එම අධ්‍යයනය සිදු කළේ. මෙහිදී අපි නියමිත වශයෙන් එම මධ්‍යස්ථාන දෙකෙන් රෝගීන් 30 දෙනා බැගින් අවස්ථානුකූල අරමුණු කරගත් නියමිත අනුව සම්මුඛ සාකච්ඡාවන් 60ක් කළා. ඒ වගේම අර්ධ ව්‍යුහගත සම්මුඛ සාකච්ඡා. ඊට පස්සේ අපි ඩයරියක් පාවිච්චි කළා රෝගීන්ගේ චර්යාව අධ්‍යයන කිරීම සඳහා කාලය සහ දින අනුරූප. ඊට පස්සේ ප්‍රත්‍යේක අධ්‍යයන 5ක් සිදු කරලා තිබෙනවා දියවැඩියා රෝගීන්ගේ සුවිශේෂී තත්ත්වයන් අවබෝධ කිරීම සඳහා. මෙහිදී පෙර කියපු කරුණු සෙවීමේදී අපිට මානව විද්‍යාත්මක සංකල්ප තුනක් භාවිත කරන්න සිද්ධ වුණා. ඒක තමයි සෞඛ්‍යමච්චර්යාව කියන එක කෙටියෙන් පැහැදිලි කළොත් අපේ මානව විද්‍යාවේදී හඳුන්වන්නේ අපිට වෛද්‍යවරයෙකු හමු නොවි සිටීමට තියෙන අවස්ථාව තමයි සෞඛ්‍යමච්චර්යාව කියලා කෙටියෙන් හැඳින්වුවොත්. ඒ රෝගී චර්යාව කියලා කියන්නේ අපිට වෛද්‍යවරයෙක් හම් වෙලා ප්‍රතිකාර ගනිමින් යම්කිසි අපේ චර්යාවන් පාලනය කරගමින් හැසිරෙන්නට සිද්ධ වෙන කාල සීමාවක් තමයි රෝගී චර්යාව කියලා හඳුනාගන්නේ. වෛද්‍ය බහුත්වාදය කියලා අපි හඳුන්වන්නේ අපි යම්කිසි අපිට රෝගයක් වැළඳුනාම අපි ප්‍රතිකාර වෙත යොමු වන ආකාරයන්. අපි ඒ ප්‍රතිකාර වෙත යොමු වීමේදී අපිට බලපාන්නේ මොනවද? අපගේ ආකල්ප පවුලේ ප්‍රජාවෙන් ඒ බලපාන කාරණා සම්බන්ධ තමයි වෛද්‍ය බහුත්වාදයේදී අපි සැලකිලිට භාජනය කරලා තිබෙන්නේ. ඊපස්සේ අපර තෝරාගත් වෛද්‍ය මධ්‍යස්ථාන දෙකෙන් ලබාගත් තොරතුරු මත විචල්්‍ය විග්‍රහයක් සිදු කළා ස්වායත්ත හා පරායත්ත විචල්්‍ය නිලයේට. ඒකට දියවැඩියා රෝගයට බලපාන හේතු සාධකයන් පළවෙනි කොටසදී අපි ස්වායත්ත විචල්්‍යයන් ලෙසත් දියවැඩියා රෝගයේ පරායත්ත විචල්්‍යයක් ලෙසත් හඳුනා ගන්න ලැබුවා. ඒ වගේම ඉන්නතුරු රෝග පාලනයේදී දියවැඩියාව රෝග ප්‍රතිකාර ක්‍රමයන් ස්වායත්ත විචල්්‍යයන් ලෙස මෙහිදී හඳුනාගෙන තිබෙනවා. මෙම අධ්‍යයනය තුළින් අපි සොයා ගැනීම කළ සියලුම කරුණු කෙටියෙන් දැක්වුවොත් ජීවන ශෛලිය හා සම්බන්ධයි. ඒ කියන්නේ ලයිෆ් ස්ටයිල් කියලා අපි කියනවා මිනිසුන්ගේ ජීවත් වෙන ආකාරය හා සම්බන්ධව මේ රෝගය අපිට සාකච්ඡා කරන්න පුළුවන්. ජානමය සාධකයන් හරුණකොට දියවැඩියාව රෝගය වැළඳෙන්න අනිත් බලපාන සියලුම කරුණු පුද්ගලයාගේ චර්යාව හා සමාජචර්යාව හා බැඳී පවතින කියන එක තමයි අපේ පළවෙනිම සොයා ගැනීම උනේ. ඒ වගේම එහිදී මෙම රෝගය වැළඳීමට මිනිසුන්ගේ ආහාර පරිභෝජන රටාව ඒ යටතේ අධික ආහාර පරිභෝජනය එතකොට පුද්ගලයාට අද සමාජයේ තියෙන කාර්යබහුලත්වයත් එක්ක නිවසේ ආහාර සකස් කර ගැනීමට නොහැකි වීම ඊට පස්සේ කෘත්‍රිම හා ක්ෂණික ආහාර පරිභෝජනයට අපි යොමු වෙලා තිබෙනවා. තෙල් සහ සීනි පිටි අඩංගු ආහාර බහුල වශයෙන් අපිට පරිභෝජනය කරන්න අද අකමැත්තෙන් හරි සිද්ධ වෙලා තියෙනවා සමහර අවස්ථාවලදී. උදාහරණයක් ගත්තොත් අද දවල්නොත් අපි සමහරවිට සෞඛ්‍යයට අහිතකර ආහාර වෙලා ගන්න. නමුත් අපිට ඒක වළක්ව ගන්න බෑ සමහර වෙලාවට. ඒ වගේ අපිට සමාජයෙන් යම් නම් බලපෑම් එල්ල වෙනවා ආහාර පරිභෝජනයේදී. ඒ වගේම ප්‍රචාරණ මාධ්‍යයන් මගින් වර්තමානයේ වැඩිපුරම මේ රෝගී කාරක ආහාර ද්‍රව්‍ය තමයි ප්‍රචාරණයන් මගින් ප්‍රවර්ධනය කරන්නේ. ඒ තුලින් විසා පෙළඹලා තිබෙනවා රෝගකාරක ආහාර පරිභෝජනය කිරීම සඳහා. ඊළඟට කාර්යබහුලත්වයත් එක්ක අපිට අපගේ හැසිරීම ව්‍යායාමකින් තොර හැසිරීමක් තමයි දක්න ලැබෙන්නේ. ඒකට ඒ වගේම මේ සොයා ගැනීම රාශියක් තියෙන රසවත් සොයා ගැනීම දැන් අධික නිින්ද කියලා ගත්තොත් අපේ සංස්කෘතියේ තියෙන සාමාන්‍ය අපි දහවල් කාලේ නිදා ගැනීම මෙම අධ්‍යයනයක් සොයාගත්ත ලංකාවේ අධ්‍යයන ලක් කළ ග්‍රාමීය කාන්තාව ගැන බහුතරයක් දහවල් කාලේ නිදා ගන්න පිරිසක් එය වෛද්‍ය විද්‍යාත්මකව ගත්තොත් දියවැඩියා රෝගය වැළඳීමට හේතුකාරක වෙනවා කියන එක වෛද්‍ය විද්‍යාත්මකව පිළිගන්න කාරණයක්. ඒ වගේම රැකියාව මෙතන අපවිත්‍රතාවය කියලා අපි සාකච්ඡා කළේ අපේ සංස්කෘතිය ගත වෙලා කාරණයක් තියෙනවා පවිත්‍රතාවය කියලා. අපි ජලය සමග බොහොම සම්බන්ධයි. අපේ සොයා ගැනීම අනුව දියවැඩියාව රෝගය වැළඳින බොහෝ පිරිසක් සාමාන්‍ය සතියකට දවසක්වත් ස්නානය නොකරන අය. එහෙම නැත්නම් දවස් 3-4 සැරයක්වත් ස්නානය නොකරන ප්‍රවණතාවයක් තියෙනවා මේ දියවැඩියා රෝගීන්ගේ. ඒක විශේෂ සොයා ගැනීමක් හැටියට මේ සූත්‍ර ලෙවල් එකේ සූත්‍ර මට්ටමේදී අපිට හඳුනා ගන්න ලැබිලා තිබෙනවා. ඒ වගේම පුද්ගලයාගේ ආකල්ප මත්පැන් භාවිතය. ඒතකොට අපි මෙතෙන්දී ඇත්තටම මත්පැන් භාවිතය දියවැඩියා රෝගයට බලපානවා කියන්නේ බයොලොජිකල් කාරණයක්. ඒ සඳහා මත්පැන් භාවිතයට බලපාන කාරණා ටික තමයි අපි මේ අධ්‍යයනයේ හඳුනාගෙන තිබෙන්නේ. ඒක මානසික ආතතිය. ඒ මානසික ආතතියට බලපාන කාරණා ටික තමයි මෙමෙ ඉදිරිපත් කරලා තියෙන්නේ. මෙම හේතු අප අධ්‍යයන ලක් කළ බොහෝ ප්‍රතිචාරකයන්ගෙන් හඳුනා ගැනීමට ලැබිච්ච කාරණා. ඊළඟ මේ රෝගී චර්යාව සම්බන්ධ රෝගී චර්යාවේදී ආහාර පාලනය කරන්න අපිට නොහැකි වෙන්නේ ඇයිද කියන එක තමයි මේදී අවධානය යොමු කරලා තියෙන්නේ. ශාරීරික ව්‍යායාම අපිට කරන්න ඇයි සමාජ අවකාශයක් නැත්නම් අද අපිට කාල වේලාවක් වෙන් කරගන්න බැරි ඇයි කියන කාරණයක් තමයි හිදී ශාරීරික ව්‍යායාමයටදී අපි අධ්‍යයනය කරලා තිබෙන්නේ. මේ වෛද්‍ය බහුත්වාදයේදී දියවැඩියා රෝගීන් එක ප්‍රතිකාර ක්‍රමයන් වලට යොමු වන්නේ ඇයි? කවුරු මුලින් යන්නේ කොයි ප්‍රතිකාර? අපි හඳුනාගත් පරිදි දියවැඩියා රෝගීන් බහුතරයක් තම මුල්ම ප්‍රතිකාර ලෙස බටහිර පෞද්ගලික වෛද්‍ය මධ්‍යස්ථානයක තමයි ගමන් කරලා තිබෙන්නේ. එවුන් එක වෛද්‍ය ක්‍රමයක් ගැන විශ්වාසයක් තියන් තබල නැහැ අතරම බටහිර වෛද්‍ය ක්‍රමයේ ප්‍රතිකාර ලබා ගන්නවා, ආයුර්වේද වෛද්‍ය ක්‍රමයේ ප්‍රතිකාර ලබා ගන්නවා. ඊට පස්සේ බණ භාවනා කරනවා රෝගය වළක්වා ගන්න, බලිත ඔයිල් කරනවා. ඒතකොට ඒ වගේ විවිධ ප්‍රතිකාර ක්‍රමයන්ට රෝගය වළක්වා ගැනීම සඳහා යනවා විමසීමකින් තොරව සමහරවිට ප්‍රජාභය සහ පවුලේ රෝගයේ පෙර වැළඳිච්ච පුද්ගලයන්ගේ උපදෙස් සහ මඟ පෙන්වීම මත මේ විවිධ ප්‍රතිකාර ක්‍රමයන්ට අනාකාරය අපිට මේ අධ්‍යයනය තුලින් හඳුනා ගන්නට ලැබුණා. මේ සොයා ගැනීම වල සහ සාරාංශයක් මේදී අපි අවසාන වශයෙන් නිගමනය කරනවා මේ රෝගී තත්ත්වය තුලින් පුද්ගලයාගේ සමාජ ජීවිතයේදී ඔහුගේ තත්ත්වය සහ කාර්යභාරයන් නිසිලෙස රඟ දැක්වීමේ අපහසුතාවයක් ඇති වෙනවා සහ ඒ තුලින් සමාජයේ ව්‍යාකූල සහගත තත්ත්වයක් නිර්මාණය වෙනවා කියලා සොයාගෙන තියෙනවා. මේදී අපි නිගමනය කරනවා දිවැඩියාව රෝගය බොහොම බෙහෙවින්ම මිනිස් චර්යාව පුද්ගල චර්යාව හා සම්බන්ධ රෝගයක්. ඒදී අපි යෝජනා කරනවා මෙවැනි අධ්‍යයනයන් මගින් අපිට හැකියාව තිබෙනවා සමාජ ප්‍රතිකාර සැලැස්මක් සකස් කරන්න. එතනදී අපි කියන්නේ අපි අධ්‍යයනය කරන බොහෝ අධ්‍යයනයන් වලදී අපි සොයාගන්නේ යම්කිසි සංකල්ප සිද්ධියක් පිළිබඳව ඌනතා සහ පූර්ණතා කියන එක තමයි අපේ හැඟීම. එතකොට මෙහිදී අපි සමාජ ප්‍රතිකාර සැලැස්මක් කියලා කියන්නේ මේ මුහුණතා නැති කිරීම. එහෙම නැත්නම් අපි රීකන්ස්ට්‍රක්ෂන් කියනවා. පූර්ණතා වර්ධනය කිරීම. ඩෙවලොප්මන්ට්. ඒ තුලින් අපිට මෙවැනි සමාජ ගැටලු වළක්වා ගැනීමට සමාජ විද්‍යාඥයන් හැටියට මැදිහත් වීමක් කරන්න පුළුවන් කියන යෝජනාව තමයි අවසාන වශයෙන් කරන්නේ.
Thank you. Questions and comments from the audience? Vanida.
Thank you very much for bringing a very good study. I would like to ask, you have mentioned lots of factors behind the psychological, behavioral, dieting patterns and all. Is there any cultural factors behind this increasing diabetics? Yes, I can understand. Thank you.
සංස්කෘතිය තමයි ජීවන ශෛලිය කියන්නේ. ලයිෆ් ස්ටයිල් කියන්නේ සංස්කෘතිය. සංස්කෘතික කාරණා තමයි බොහෝ දුරට බලපන්න මෙතෙන්දී ජීවන ශෛලිය කියලා ඇත්තටම අර්ථවත් කළේ මේ සංස්කෘතික කාරණා. සංස්කෘතික කාරණා කියන ජීවන ශෛලියට අපි අදහස් කරන විදිහ.
දැන් විශේෂයෙන් මේක කෙටි ප්‍රශ්නයක් මම ඉදිරිපත් කරන්නේ මේ දිවැඩියාව සඳහා ප්‍රතිකාර ගැනීමේදී දැන් ඔබ අධ්‍යයන යොමු කරලා තියෙනවා බටහිර වෛද්‍ය ක්‍රමයේ සහ පෙරදිග ක්‍රමයේ සම්බන්ධව. ඉතින්දී රෝගීන්ගේ වැඩි පිළිගැනීම තියෙන්නේ මොන වෛද්‍ය ක්‍රමයේ සඳහා යොමු වෙනවද හොඳයි?
ඒකට බලපානවා ඒ පුද්ගලයාගේ උගත්කම බලපාලා තිබුණා. අපිට ඇත්තට මෙතන පැහැදිලි කරන්න කාලයක් නැහැ. සහ නාගරික ගාමීය බව. ඇත්තටම ස්ත්‍රී පුරුෂ වශයෙන් ගත්තොත් ස්ත්‍රීන් ආයුර්වේද පැත්තට ප්‍රතිකාර කරේ වැඩි විශ්වාසයක් තියෙනවා. පුරුෂයන් බටහිර වෛද්‍ය ක්‍රමයේ කරේ වැඩි විශ්වාසයක් තියෙනවා. සහ රැකියාවත් බලපානවා. රැකියාව නොකරන මේ කියන්නේ ප්‍රමාණික රැකියාව නොකරන ගොඩක් දුරට ආයුර්වේද ප්‍රතිකාර ක්‍රමයේ නිවසවලින් යොමු වෙනවා. සහ රැකියාවක් කරන කියන්නේ අපි දිනපතා රැකියාවක් කරන්න ඕනේ. එයාලා බටහිර වෛද්‍ය ක්‍රමයේ තමයි යොමු වීමක් දක්වන්නේ. ඒක විවිධ සාධක මත වෙනස් වෙනවා. මේ ස්ත්‍රී පුරුෂ වශයෙන් ඊට පස්සේ අධ්‍යාපනික මට්ටම රැකියාව ඒ අනුව වෙනස් වෙනවා. එහෙම තමයි අපිට අධ්‍යයනය කරන්න මෙතෙන්දි පැහැදිලි කරන්න ඇත්තටම කාල සීමාවක් නැහැ කියලා.
කෙටි ප්‍රශ්නයක්. ඕකේ. මම අහන්න උත්සාහ කරන සමහර වෙලාවට වගේ නියදී ස්වරූපය නිසා මේකට ඍජු පිළිතුරක් දෙන්න අමාරුයි. නමුත් දැන් මේකේ විචල්්‍ය කියන්නේ වේරියබල් ඇනලිසිස් මොකක්ද? ඒ කියන්නේ මොන වගේ පන්ති මොන වගේ ආදායම් කණ්ඩායම් මොන වගේ රැකියා කරන කට්ටිය අතරේ ස්ත්‍රී පුරුෂ ස්වභාවය අනුව වෙනස්කමක් දකින්න හම්බ වෙනවද මේ රෝගී තත්ත්වය?
ඇත්තටම දකින්න ලැබෙනවා. දැන් දියවැඩියා රෝගය ඇත්තටම අපි කියන සුදු කරපටි රැකියා නිල් කරපටි රැකියා කියලා සුදු කරපටි රැකියා කරන අයට බහුල වශයෙන් වැළඳීමේ ප්‍රවණතාවයක් තියෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ සරලව ගත්තොත් ශරීරයේ නොහෙසා කරන රැකියාවල නියුක්ත වූවන්ට දියවැඩියා රෝගය වැළඳීමේ වැඩි ප්‍රවණතාවයක් තියෙනවා. සහ කය වෙහෙසා රැකියාවන් කරන අයට අඩු ප්‍රවණතාවයක් රෝගය නොවැළඳී තිබෙනවා කියන එක නෙමෙයි අඩු ප්‍රවණතාවයක් තමයි තියෙන්නේ. කාන්තා පුරුෂ ස්ත්‍රී පුරුෂ වශයෙන් ගත්තොත් මේක අපි ගොඩක් අධ්‍යයනය කළේ ග්‍රාමීය කාන්තාවන් බොහෝ කර ගෘහණියන් ඇත්තටම ගෘහීය කටයුතු සිදු කළාට මේ ගොඩාක් ආචරණ සිටි තරයාවක ඉන්නවා කියන තමයි අපිට නිගමනය කරන්න වෙන්නේ. ඒ අනුව පුරුෂයන්ට සාපේක්ෂව ගෘහණියන් ග්‍රාමීය කාන්තාවන් දියවැඩියා රෝගය වැළඳීමේ වැඩි ප්‍රවණතාවයක් පෙන්වන්න කරනවා කියලා අපිට අධ්‍යයනයන් සමග හොයාගන්න හැකියාව ලැබුණා.
ජගත් දැන් ඔයාගේ රිසර්ච් ස්ටඩි එක මාස්ටර්ස් තීසිස් එකකින් නවත්තන්න නැතුව ඉස්සරහට යන්න අවකාශයක් තියෙන අධ්‍යයනයක් කියලා මම හිතනවා. හැබැයි මේ අධ්‍යයන විශේෂයෙන්ම උදාහරණයක් වශයෙන් මානව විද්‍යාත්මක දෘෂ්ටි කෝණයකින් දියවැඩියව දිහා බලන ලිපියක් ලියන්න පුළුවන් නම් ඒ සඳහා අවස්ථාව තියෙනවා කියලා මම හිතනවා. හැබැයි එතෙන්දී මම හිතන්නේ ඔයාගේ සොයා ගැනීම් වලින් සමහර සොයා ගැනීම් දැනටමත් අපි දන්න දේවල්. හැබැයි මානව විද්‍යාත්මක දෘෂ්ටි කෝණයකින් බලනවා නම් විශේෂයෙන්ම ඔයා සඳහන් කරේ දවල් නිදා ගැනීම සහ දියවැඩියාව ගැන ඉන්න ඒ අතර තියෙන සම්බන්ධය. අන්න ඒ වගේ ඔයාගේ පරිශ්‍රණය තුළ තවත් කරුණු ඇති දැනට සමාජයේ සාකච්ඡාවට අවම වශයෙන් භාජනය වෙලා තියෙන කරුණු. අන්න ඒ කරුණු උලුප්පලා විද්‍යාත්මක ලිපියක් ලියන්න පුළුවන් නම් මම හිතන්නේ මානව විද්‍යා ශාස්ත්‍රයට ඒක වැදගත් දායකත්වයක් කියලා මම හිතනවා.
දැනට මේ මාධ්‍යන මගනුත් බොහෝ සුද්ධ මට්ටමේ කරුණු හොයාගත්තා. නමුත් මෙතන කියන අවස්ථාව නෑ. දැන් ගෘහීය කාන්තාවන් දහවල් කාලේ නිදා ගැනීමට පෙළඹීම හේතු හැවුවොත් එයාලා ගොඩාක් බොහෝ දෙනෙක් පිළිතුරු දුන්නේ එයා කුඩා කාලේ ළමයි දවල් කාලේ නිදි කරනවනේ. එතකොට අම්බන් නිදා ගන්නවා. එහෙම තමයි සමහරවිට දහවල් කාලේ නිදා ගැනීමට පෙළඹිලා තියෙන්නේ. ඊට පස්සේ මේ ස්නානය කියන කාරණේ ගත්තොත් ග්‍රාමීය පිරිස් ඇත්තටම ස්නාන කිරීමේ චර්යාවක් දකින්න ලැබුණා සංස්කෘතික වශයෙන්ම. දෛනික රැකියාවන්හි උදේ ගිහිල්ලා හවස රැකියාව කරලා නෑ බොහෝ පිරිස් මේ ස්නාන කිරීමේ චර්යාව මගහරින ස්වරූපයක් තමයි තියෙන්නේ. ඒ කියන්නේ ඔවුන් කාර්යබහුලත්වයත් එක්ක ඊට පස්සේ හවස ආවිල්ලා නාන්න හොඳ නැහැ කියලා අපේ පිළිගැනීමක් තියෙනවා. ආරුදිත් එහෙම පිළිගන්නවා. එතකොට ඔවුන් සුළු පවිත්‍රතාවයක් කරගෙන මේ එතනින් පවිත්‍රතාවය ඉවත් කරනවා. ඇත්තටම පිළිගැනීම තමයි හොඳට ඇඟ අතුල්ලලා නානවා කියලා කියන්නේ ස්වයං සම්භාහනය වීමක් සිද්ධ වෙනවා. ශරීරයේ මේදය හා සීනි කැලරි අධික ලෙස දහනය වෙන ක්‍රියාවලියක් හැටියට තමයි ස්නානය සාමාන්‍යයෙන් වෛද්‍ය විද්‍යාවේ පිළිගන්නේ.
Right. Time constraints do not allow us to continue this discussion. Shall we move on to our next presenter? Our next presenter is Mahesha Ihalagadara, who is also a graduate of this department, and also she is reading for her master's. Presently, she is attached to a research project in the Faculty of Engineering.
Very good evening to all of you. My presentation is on gender differences in sexual stimulation exchange on Facebook among university students. So I hope to carry on my presentation focusing on these main areas. So as we all know, society is a network of social interactions, and it's a system of social action and social interactions that are taken place. And you know that technology, it is one of the major sources which introduce new form of social interactions to present generation. You know that introduction of cyberspace and these kinds of digital media, it has changed the traditional mode of face-to-face interactions into new form of digital, with new form of sender-receive interactions with more digital applications. So in my study, I basically focus on to identify the gender difference in sexual stimulation exchange on Facebook among university students, and this study based on the University of Peradeniya. So moving to the background, you know that Facebook is a very familiar social networking site to all of us, and it is one of the largest, and now it has become a most popular social networking site in the world. Considering about the statistical data also, we can identify that there is a big youth attraction towards Facebook. Therefore, in my study, I basically try to understand how the university students exchange their sexual stimulations using Facebook. So, considering about the previous studies, I could understand that there was a clear research gap related to my study, since most of the studies are based on the social usage and the effects. Therefore, I hope to carry on my, I basically focus on this, the topic. And my objective was to examine gender differences in sexual stimulation exchange on Facebook. Methodologically, I used qualitative data. And for the data collection, I used both primary and secondary data for my study. For the primary data, I used 20 case studies, and it included 20 in-depth interviews. And I used focus group discussions, 2 focus group discussions based on the gender variation of my sample. And also I used secondary data as well. So my sample was snowball sampling technique. Especially I used it to recruiting respondents for my study, and it included 20 university students representing 11 male students and 9 female students. And my sample represented 6 faculties of the University of Peradeniya. And for the data analyzing, I used thematic analysis method. Moving to the findings, I found that when considered about the sending and accepting Facebook friend requests, that male students basically send Facebook friend requests to females, whereas female students, they mostly accept requests. The reason behind this trend was that male students, they basically mentioned that they always like to add more girls to their profile, and female students, they mentioned that they all already received requests from male students, and there is no need to send requests to males. And considering about the concerning criteria in sending and accepting Facebook friend request, I found that both male and female students, they concern about the appearance, but there is a clear distinction between these two genders, since male students, they basically consider about the female's appearance, whereas female students, they basically consider about the male's appearance. And when it comes to the male students, they mentioned that they always like to add the younger girls to their profile, and they also consider about some other factors like university students and their home time. They give prior place for them. And considering about, there is both male and female students, they mentioned that they give prior place to the mutual friends and university students. So in my study, I found that students use 4 main types of tools to exchange sexual stimulations. First one was the profile picture, and considering the gender variation, I found that female students, they always try to get attraction from the males by displaying attractive profile picture. They mentioned that I found that they always the student use, or other the student use some of the software programs like Photoshop to enhance their beauty. And when it comes to, also female student mentioned that they have some sort of a need to become a popular person in the cyberspace. Therefore, they always like to upload one of the most attractive profile picture in their profile picture. Moving to the male side, they mentioned that they don't have much attention to upload most attractive profile picture, but instead of that, they mentioned they always used to upload some sort of a pleasant profile picture, unlike girls. Some sort of a pleasant picture, but they don't consider about much attraction. And I found that both male and female students, they attract to counterpartners looking at their profile picture by giving interpretations and evaluations. And basically, these evaluations and interpretations based on 3 main things. First one is the psychological physiological features, like whether they are tall or short, whether they are fair or not, likewise. And the second reason was the pose and the way they face the photograph. And the third fact was yes, these are the reasons for their evaluations, and based on these evaluations, they send and accept their Facebook friend requests. And this shows some of the findings or other which I received. It's one of the case study experience that I found in my study. And second major tool was a photograph. Similar to previous profile picture, female students, they display attractive profile photos rather than male students. And always these tools help to exchange sexual stimulation among male and female students. And final tool was language, and it is the decisive tool that I found in my study. Male students, they mostly use Singlish, whereas female students, they use English. Students mentioned that it's the most comfortable language to communicate each other. And these are some of the words used by female students to in Facebook chats, and these are some of the student words that used by male students. Nevertheless, both males and female students use chat. Uh, they use very simple and short sentences rather than using very long sentences. So non-verbal cues is another tool, and these are the non-verbal cues mostly used by females. And when it comes to the end result of this interaction, I found that male students, they use Facebook to gratify their sexual needs, and whereas most of the female students, they victimize their request. It's a main perceived result that I found. It's my trend. So in conclusion, I would like to say that this study reflects an aspect to understand the behavior of youth inside the culturally covered society, and social media, it has opened a new avenue to the youth to gratify their sexual needs. Hence, I suggest there is a necessity to improve the awareness related to this digital media usage among youth, because to reduce the negative impacts that would be result in their future lives. So, thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you, Mahesh, for a very interesting presentation. Now the presentation is open for comments and questions.
Thank you. It's a very interesting area of research. Okay, I have a very simple question once again. Are the, like, when you do this gender analysis, but I think the sample is not sufficient, but anyway, based on your 20 students, are the female passive and the males active? What is your...
Definitely some males, they are passive. They are active than females. Therefore, females are passive.
Thank you.
Sure. I would like to add something in my own opinion. Like you said that males like to add more females requests. At the same time, females also like to add more males requests. But as a social media, social network, Facebook is more than that. Like in my point of view, like males also like to add more males friends requests. I think if you deeply go through the research, then you can find more than that. Like females also like to add more females requests. So this is like a new trend and new upcoming changes in the Facebook as well. Thank you.
Yes, madam. My findings reveal that pattern.
Yes, thank you. It's been a very interesting presentation. That I would like to raise the question, but you know that more female is there are South Asian cultural girls or women, they are active their Facebook no. But you have seen some cultural differences, so cultural South Asian cultural context coming on their Facebook activities.
Yes, based on my study, I basically revealed about sexual stimulation exchange. So therefore, I felt that due to these cultural barriers, most of the female students, they always try to use this digital media to gratify their unrevealed hidden sexual needs. So it is one of the main things that I found in my study.
Sarah.
Director of Sociological Research. My question is, have you come across any international studies on this topic?
Yes, sir, I have. Yes, sir, I published 2 research papers based on this. One was about dynamics of sexual stimulation, and one was about language usage. I have done.
මට කියන්න අමතක වුණා ඉස්සෙල්ලා මේ ප්‍රශ්න අහන එක ඉංග්‍රීසියෙන් විතරක් නෙවෙයි සිංහලෙන් අහන්නත් පුළුවන්. දෙමළ භාෂාවෙන් උනත් පුළුවන් ශිවකාන්තන්ගෙන් විතරක්. If there are, it appears there are no questions, we can wind up this discussion. Before winding up, let me thank all the presenters for their presentations and also the participants for their contributions by way of questions and comments. So, Abhi. Right.
Thank you very much for your stimulation in terms of sharing your ideas. So now we have come to the conclusion of the undergraduate student presentations. Now we are going to award certificates for participants. So I will invite Professor Sisira Pinnavalu to award the certificate to Mr. Shivakantan. Yeah, I also like to invite Dr. Sarath Anand to award the certificate to Darshani Chandrasekhar. Now I'd like to invite Professor HMDR Herath to present the certificate to Jagat Priyanta Kumara. Now I'd like to invite Mr. Nandana Vijayasinghe to present the certificate to Ms. Mahisha Ihalagedara. Again, thank you very much for all chairpersons for participating in chairing this session, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much all. Let's move forward with a lovely Tamil classical dance form known as Kolatam, Lee Kalinatama, or the stick dance, which is a very ancient village art of India presented by the Tamil students of the Department of Sociology, University of Peradeniya.
தாண்டியாட்டமும் ஆட தசரா கூட்டமும் கூட குஜராத் குமரிகள் ஆட காதலன் காதலிய தேட அவள் தென்படுவாளோ என கண் மறைவாக இன்று காண சொல்வாளோ நெஞ்சோடு அவள் எங்கே காணாமல் வாடு என்னை தான் எங்கவே பாடும் தாண்டியாட்டமும் ஆட தசரா கூட்டமும் கூட குஜராத் குமரிகள் ஆட காதலன் காதலிய தேட உன்னை கண்டு என் யாரும் அல்ல உண்மையாகி நின்றதென்ன சொல்ல ஒரு வார்த்தை அறிய அறிய ஒரு வார்த்தை புரியாதா
எந்த வார்த்தை சொல்லவில்லை எந்த வார்த்தை எந்த கண்களால் ஒரு ஜாடையில் சின்னென்று தெரியாதா புரியாதா
கண்ணில் சேர வேண்டும் மணி போல நான் கண்ணில் சேர வேண்டும் பூவை போல நான் உங்கள் கூந்தல் சேர வேண்டும்
கண்ணில் வைத்த பையும் கரைந்து போகக்கூடும் கூந்தல் வைத்து வண்ண பூவும் மாறி போகக்கூடும்
சரி காதல் நெஞ்சே நான் தரலாமா கணவனாக நான் வரலாமா
இந்த வார்த்தை மட்டுமே நிஜமானால் ஒரு ஜன்மம் போதும் அன்பே வா அன்பே வா
தாண்டியாட்டமும் ஆட தசரா கூட்டமும் கூட குஜராத் குமரிகள் ஆட காதலன் காதலிய தேட அவற்றின் படுவாளோ இந்த கண் மறைவாக இருக்காத சொல்வாளோ நெஞ்சோடு அவள் எங்கே காணாமல் வாழ என்னை தான் எங்க வைப்பாளோ
காதல் பார்வைகள் எல்லாமே அழகு காதல் வார்த்தைகள் எல்லாமே கவிதை காதல் செய்வது நானும் தெய்வீகம் தெய்வீகம்
காதல் என்பதை கண்டுபிடித்தவன் காலம் முழுவதும் நன்றிக்குரியவன் காதல் இல்லையே பூலோகம்
உள்ளம் என்ற ஒன்றை உன்னிடத்தில் தந்தே தந்த உள்ளம் சத்திரமா தெரிந்து கொள்ள
என்னை பற்றி நீதான் என்னது தவறு என்னிவிட உந்தன் உள்ளம் என்னுடைய
இது உயிர்கள் என்பது கிடையாது இது உனது எனது எனும் பிரிவேது
இந்த வார்த்தை மட்டுமே நிஜமானால் ஒரு ஜென்மம் போதும்
உயிரேவா
அன்பேவா
உயிரேவா
அன்பே தேவா வாலிப நெஞ்சங்கள் உறவு கொண்டாட வந்தது இங்கொரு ராத்திரி நாடிய என்றொரு ராத்திரி வாலிப நெஞ்சங்கள் உறவு கொண்டாட வந்தது இங்கொரு ராத்திரி நாடிய என்றொரு ராத்திரி துணை செய்ய நாங்கள் ஒன்று தோழரே துணிந்து நீ காதல் செய்வாய் தோழியே உங்களாலே என்றும் மண்ணில் காதல் வாழவே உங்களாலே என்றும் மண்ணில் காதல் வாழவே உங்களாலே என்றும் மண்ணில் காதல் வாழவே உங்களாலே என்றும் மண்ணில் காதல் வாழவே
Thank you very much. It was really a wonderful performance. Next will be the third and the final presentation session of the day. This session will be by the presentations by the undergraduates of the Department of Sociology, University of Peradeniya, based on their research works, guided by the lecturers of the department. During the session, please help yourself with the tea and refreshments. I think Dr. Abhay Radnaika is ready to coordinate the session. So can you come to the stage, please?
Thank you very much. Again, we have come to the end of the academic sessions now. So this session will be presented by our immediate sociology graduates. So this session will be chaired by Dr. Sarat Chandra Gamlat, and who is also product of this other department, as well as he used to be a lecturer here for some time. Then he was a lecturer at the University of Rohuna, and finally he left the Rohuna University. Now he lives in Australia. So we are very pleased to have him back, and please come forward to the head table. And our next chairperson, Ms. Dusmanti De Silva, and she is also a product of this department, and also she is also senior lecturer at the Department of Sociology, University of Rohuna. So our rapporteur today, Ruwan Pattia Godage, and he is also a product of this department, and now he works in Kurunagala at National Water and Drainage Board. Our four students or the graduates are Laxi Kunaratnam. Please come forward to the head table. The next presenter is Mr. Darshaka Karunaratna. Please come forward to the head table. And the third presenter, Ms. Sureka Samanmali, and please come forward to the table. And the last presenter, Ms. Harshani Abhiratna, please come forward to the head table. Okay.
Hello? Good afternoon, everyone. This seems to be a very special session. Why I'm saying special, that it's from undergraduates of this department. who are actually young sociologists, young blood, and who will take over the autonomy of sociology in the country very soon. And I'm sure our organizers are very much concerned of the time fact that we are running behind. Therefore, let's get into our job straight away.